Okay, now we ready? Okay, I'd like to call to order the Geneva Area City Board of Education, June 23rd, 2021 meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Arndt,
Present.
Mr. Dana,
Here.
Ms. Fisher,
Here.
Mrs. Metzler,
Here.
and Mrs. Ortiz.
Present.
Are we in compliance?
Yes, we are.
We'll now stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any correspondence?
Yes, I have one that I'd like to share. Actually, I provided copies of the correspondence that were through emails and received either by myself or sent to the entire board. All of the emails were very well written. 3 from middle school girls involved in cheerleading and 2 from girls that have moved on to the high school and will be 9th graders. All of the emails focus on the lessons and positive aspects of cheerleading, school spirit, life lessons, leadership, and academics. In the past, we've had numerous and very generous individuals and groups that have funded some of our sports and activities, including middle school cheerleading. I wanted to share just one letter that was forwarded to me, and again, you have the rest in your packet, and addressed to the board from one of the girls moving on from Geneva Middle School to Geneva High School. I did not want to share too much during the correspondence, as I believe at least one young lady will be sharing during the hearing of the public. Dear Geneva School Board, I recently heard the unfortunate news that Geneva Middle School Cheer has lost its funding for the upcoming seasons. I wanted to write to you a letter to explain how participating in the sport has meant what it's meant to me, in hopes that you would reconsider. My friends and I have waited many years to get to the age where we could cheer our fellow classmates on the court and football field for Geneva. We watched as little girls at football games, waiting for the day we could cheer on the sideline and bring our school spirit to pump up the crowd and our fellow classmates. When you participate in a sport at Geneva, you are held at a higher standard to represent your school, not only in your activity, but also in the classroom and in the hallways. We were all taught to have that sense of pride for our school. I am now a freshman who recently made varsity cheer for both football and basketball. I would like to say my amazing jumps or tumbling skills had a part in this, but I can't say that at all. You see, my friend and I who cheer are very competitive, not only on the mat, but in the classroom. My friend and I learned early on in middle school that hitting the books and getting those grades up could mean making the team or not making the team. Getting straight A's is now my expectation for me, not just my goal, which I credit to my last 2 years of cheering in the middle school. I really hope you reconsider what taking away this sport could mean to my younger classmates, not only for the lifelong friendships they gain, but for the sense of school pride it teaches them. Sincerely, Peyton. So again, I just wanted to share that one letter. The other letters, you did receive some through email, are available to you in your packet. And again, I believe that we'll have at least one young lady sharing this evening during the hearing of the public.
Okay, agenda modification.
Yes, we do have a few agenda modifications. There's an addition to K, an addition to 7B, a removal from 7C, number 1. We have a modification on 8, and something that is not on your agenda modifications for number 8. We will be striking Kelly L. Fisher. In addition to number 9C3, removal from 9C4, a removal from 9C7, a new number 11, and old 11, 12, and 13 now become 12, 13, and 14.
In addition to those modifications, I have two modifications, two items that need to be removed. This would be number 2 and item number 3. This was the appropriation resolution and the advances and transfers between funds. Due to a recent software conversion, we just were unable to get the things we needed in place to produce these reports. The appropriation resolution does need to be turned into the county auditor by June 30th. So under other, we will discuss if we can get together for a meeting, a very short meeting next week to approve those two items.
Okay, hearing of the public. Anyone that has any comments at this time could step up to the microphone. Please start by stating your name and address.
Hi, my name is Julia Craig, and I'm here to my address is 200 Cherrywood Circle, and I am here to address the funding of cheerleading at Geneva Middle School. My name is Julia Craig, and I am entering my 7th grade year at Geneva Middle School. The last time I did sideline cheer, I was 8 years old. Since then, I have participated in Geneva Extreme Cheer, also known as GXCA. Overall, I have cheered since I was 5 years old, both sideline and competitive. Although I have not had the experience of cheering for my school, I do know that from watching fellow students and teammates that I would enjoy it. I have been looking forward to cheering for GMS since I entered 6th grade. When I found out that there may not be tryouts, I was devastated. School cheer is an outlet for so many students. With cheer, students have the opportunity to cheer on their school without it actually being a type of schoolwork. It gives students an opportunity to spread school spirit and pride. I work hard in school to have the chance to try out for extracurricular activities. Cheer has been the main goal for me to achieve since I stepped foot into the middle school. It has also been something I have been looking forward to for a long time. I know that I would be able to have a great experience cheering for GMS and that I would be able to try new things and have personal development from the activity. Everyone should get to have the chance to meet new people, make new friends, and spread school spirit through cheer. That is why I believe we should keep cheerleading at the Geneva Middle School. Thank you for listening and for considering funding Geneva Middle School cheer.
Thank you, Julia.
Hi, my name is Jen Bushnell. My address is 1227 Harper Valley Lane. And I'm here to ask the board to respectfully consider funding middle school cheer. I brought my daughters, Cameron and Paige. They're entering 6th and 8th grade at the middle school. Cameron cheered last year, had an amazing time. She corresponded with the board. She let you know how important it was to her. Paige also has an interest in cheer, so I would really like to keep this opportunity for my children and their friends, everybody else who's interested in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else at this time? Okay, approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Mr. Dana,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
and Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Treasurer's financial report.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Dana,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
And Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
Approval of invoices.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
and Mr. Dana.
Yes.
Informational items.
You see the donations listed again. There are attachments that were provided the board for both the Mark Brace Pay to Participate Fund and the new fund for the Denny Noble Outstanding Essay Award in memory of Dennis Noble. A donation from the Geneva Middle School, I was supposed to say staff, and the various donors per the attached list. And that item, there's an item a little later on in your agenda to establish that fund for the Denny Noble Outstanding Essay Award.
Okay. Legislative report.
Thank you. Governor DeWine signed House Bill 170 into law recently within the last month. The bill, which takes effect immediately, provides state appropriation authority for schools to receive the funding provided by Congress through the ESSER fund in response to COVID-19. It requires the ODE to receive approval from the controlling board before spending the ODE's allocated funds, and it permits the state auditor to audit the ODE and school districts on the funding appropriated by that bill, the CARES Act, the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2020, and the ARP Act of 2021. The Senate has accepted a substitute version of substitute House Bill 110, which makes operating appropriations for the fiscal year 22-23 biennium. The substitute version of the bill removes the Fair School Funding Plan and inserts new school funding formula that utilizes a different base cost methodology and restores the state share index to determine the state and local share calculation. Some of the other highlights of the changes include that the Senate's bill establishes a base cost methodology under which the per pupil base cost amount is $6,065 in fiscal year 22 and $6,110 in fiscal year 23. It maintains the student wellness and success funds with a $350 million appropriation for fiscal year 22 and $300 million in fiscal year 23. It increases the Ed Choice voucher payment amounts to $5,500 for the K-8 students and $7,500 for 9 through 12 students. Currently, those amounts are set at $4,650 and $6,000 respectively. It expands the Ed Choice eligibility to restore the high school eligibility and sibling eligibility provisions that were previously repealed. It removes the bill's provision that extends to December 31st of 21 the temporary authorization for the boards of education and other public bodies to meet via electronic technology, which is set to expire on July 1st. It eliminates bus purchase funding. It increases the voucher amount for the Autism Scholarship Program to $31,500 in fiscal year 22 and $32,455 in fiscal year 23 and thereafter. Currently, the maximum amount on that is only $27,000. The funding of the ESCs is also addressed, and that would go up to $28 per pupil for the high-performing ESCs and $26 per pupil for all of the others in fiscal year 22. In fiscal year 23, that funding would be increased to $29 for the high-performing ESCs and $27 for the others. And the current price that they're being paid per pupil is $26 for high-performing and $24 for the other ESCs. With the Senate's proposal, Geneva's funding would increase about $444,000 from fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 22, and about $154,000 from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23. Those percentages are about 4% and 1.3% increase. The seemingly lone similarity between the House and the Senate funding formulas pertains to the funding of non-traditional education options. Both plans would require the state to directly fund community schools, STEM schools, and the state's 5 voucher programs, rather than deducting and transferring this funding from traditional school districts. Unlike the House plan, however, the Senate plan maintains this deduct and transfer method for open enrollment funding. As expected, the House voted not to concur with the Senate changes to the bill. The conference committee is holding discussions currently to reconcile the differences between the House and Senate versions. Both chambers will need to concur on the changes that the conference committee makes and send the budget to Governor DeWine to act on by the end of the fiscal year, which occurs on June 30th. So there's about 1 week to do this. In other news, last week, Governor DeWine announced the K-12 Safety Grant Program to award $5 million to qualifying K-12 public schools for improvements to physical security and safety expenses. The program will be administered by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. And in recently introduced legislation, we've got House Bill 298 to change the composition of the State Board of Education. The bill has already been referred to the House Government Oversight Committee and would remove the 8 appointed members from the State Board of Education. This bill would reduce State Board of Education membership from the current 19 members to 11 members, all of whom would be elected. OSBA has long supported an elected State Board of Education and has included language in the OSBA legislative platform to that effect. House Bill 312 has been introduced to designate November 23rd as Women and Girls in STEM Day. House Bill 323 has been introduced by our own representative, Sarah Fowler Arthur, to provide a maximum personal income tax credit of $1,500 for certain primary and secondary education expenses. Also, House Bill 327 was introduced by Fowler Arthur and another representative to prohibit school districts and state agencies, among others, from teaching, advocating, or promoting divisive concepts, and allow the Ohio Department of Education to withhold funding for noncompliance. House Bill 334 is regarding school district board member compensation and ethics and open meetings training. And basically what this is about is requiring new board members within their first year of being on the school board to complete an approved ethics training program and a program regarding open meetings and public record laws. And Senate Bill 176 was introduced to legalize, regulate, and tax sports gaming, prohibit betting on any sport or athletic event for primary and secondary school students, and require that 98% of the profits be used in K-12 education. That was passed by the Senate last week. And finally, Senate Bill 200 to permit students who were enrolled in 12th grade during the 2020 and 2021 school year to re-enroll in that grade in the 21-22 school year and to declare it an emergency. And that'll do it.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions here. Big difference between the House funding bill and the Senate bill. Obviously with the Senate bill, we risk losing a substantial amount of funds. So I don't know if anyone has any inside, baseball, Kevin, about where they're going to go here on this, because, we have with the House bill, we'll receive some sort of increase, but we could have a significant decrease if the Senate bill is enacted. That's obviously very concerning. We're always trying to figure out the 5-year forecast, and it's this bouncing ball. And so now we have in a week, we'll figure out whether or not we're going to be getting some increased revenue or we're going to get cut.
As Mrs. Metzler reported, it's currently in this conference committee. I received an email today telling me that it could come out of that committee Friday, or it might not come out until Monday. That email also said that Speaker Bob Cupp is very committed to the Fair School Funding Plan, the House version, substitute version 110. And as you recall, he was one of the original co-sponsors of that, along with our own John Patterson. So he is on that conference committee, and he's not really wanting to let that go. One of the other problems with the Senate version is it doesn't address any of what we call categoricals: special ed, gifted, LEP, ELL, ESOL, whatever you want to call it there. Transportation especially, and you notice that they removed, we had 1 year that we finally received bus grants to purchase buses. Geneva received $40,805. That was in the Fair School Funding Plan, and every year thing to help districts purchase these buses and keep their fleets from growing much older as they have done. So all I can tell you is Speaker Bob Cupp is pushing that on the conference committee. Whether that remains to be seen. We may know Friday, we may not know until Monday.
Do we know how our state senator feels about that issue?
I don't put much faith in our state senator. As I explained to the board when I went down to testify on behalf of the Fair School Funding Group, she walked out of that testimony 20 minutes into the session and never returned. I was told that the day before, when base cost distribution and one other group testified, she did the same thing. I don't believe, according to the Zoom meeting that we had with her, with board members, treasurers, superintendents from around her district in Ashtabula and Trumbull County, she seemed more concerned with the non-public and charter schools than with the traditional public schools.
So trying to get people to contact her, you don't think would have any kind of effect one way or the other?
It wouldn't hurt to contact her and let people, we've tried to point out that the majority of her constituents are educated in traditional public schools, and that she should, be aware of that. But she needs to hear from people, I guess, to cement that.
And my next question has to deal with House Bill 327. What exactly how is divisive concepts defined? Or is it defined?
It was not defined.
Okay.
We actually had a conference this past week and had a speaker from Walter Haverfield available. They did define and have a list of, I think there were 9 criteria that they kind of defined what the divisive concepts would look like. I didn't bring that with me, but I can definitely share that with the board. So there is they tried to create some understanding of what that would look like and what would define divisive if that was part of the curriculum.
So Eric, I sent you a copy here of a Supreme Court decision that was decided here today regarding student speech. And our Supreme Court, I think, spoke 8-1 decision about, broadly allowing freedom of speech, First Amendment type issues. So I'm concerned about a situation here saying that we're going to withhold funding based on divisive, concepts without having a clear understanding of what exactly that is. So I know that critical race theory has been a hot topic. Can I not talk about the Underground Railroad anymore here in this area? The proud persons that fought injustice here in this area. For that matter, can we talk about gender discrimination? And can we talk about the 19th Amendment's passage? Or is that divisive? I would hope that when we're talking about First Amendment issues, if we talk about following the Constitution, and especially with having a recent Supreme Court decision on this topic, I would hope that our legislators would allow a free flow or a more free flow of ideas here in a school setting. But who am I? But that's why I asked, what does the term divisive concepts mean? And it's not defined in the
And not in the
statute.
bill.
No, and actually there were 2 bills, but I will share those with the board. I'll make sure that I scan those and email those to you.
That should be an interesting First Amendment challenge if that passes.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments? Okay, ATEC report. June 4th saw the senior awards ceremony for 270 ATEC students at the Lakeside High School's athletic field. It was a very impressive ceremony and very well attended. It was good to know that a great many of these students are now job certified and ready to move on with their lives. There are also quite a few there who are headed for college. Summer school is going on now. The first session has 63 students spread out over math, English, science, and social studies. This session will end on July 2nd, and the second session will start on July 6th, and students are already signing up for that. ESC, the Educational Service Center, has a 2-week program for 4th through 8th graders called Allegro. This year it's being held at ATEC with an ATEC science teacher heading it up. There are classes in Lego robotics, creative writing, mock trials, and computer programming, among others. And finally, the Adult Career Center has scheduled orientations for upcoming classes. Students will meet with their instructors, visit the labs, get questions answered about financial aid and any other topic that comes up. The courses held cover firefighter, certified patient care technician, automotive technology, impact, industry maintenance, industry welding, industrial electricity, HVAC, business office specialist, and cosmetology. That's it for the ATEC. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. I'm going to begin with the Geneva Pride positives. Again, this always is one of the my special moments in the board agenda. At Ostenburg, Cork, and Geneva Platt R. Spencer, all three elementary buildings wanted to end a difficult year by spending quality time with some healthy competition. The buildings coordinated with the help of many field days for all grades to be involved in at the end of the year. The students participated in field day games and showed their school spirit. Fun was the prize in which everyone was a winner. District Elementary building spent the last day of school making memories and sending well wishes to the 5th grade class by coordinating a clap out. Other grade level students, teachers, and staff clapped and cheered as the 5th grade students left their elementary school building for the last time. All elementary kindergarten teachers planned a drive-through program for their students and families. The celebration involved music, bubbles, and well wishes for all. The kindergarten students were excited and ready to go on to 1st grade. And at Geneva Platt R. Spencer, they are hosting the summer recovery program for all district elementary students for 2 weeks in June and 1 week in August. Food service, breakfast and lunch, and transportation will be provided to the students. We hope these programs provide support and help for our students, as well as get them ready for the new year in August. At Geneva Middle School, during the week of May 18th, 5th graders from Ostenburg, Cork, and GPS made visits to the middle school to tour the building and get a behind-the-scenes look at what a school day looks like as they are set to become 6th graders in the fall. Students were able to meet Principal Alex Anderson, Assistant Principal Mark Mollahan, and Guidance Counselor Jessica George, as well as current students and staff as they were introduced to their new home. Students were able to see demonstrations from the band, shop, and robotics program, as well as see how the daily video announcements are produced. The visits were a huge success, as many 5th grade students commented on how they are now less nervous and more excited about coming to the middle school. Thank you to everyone who helped make these visits possible. During the week of May 25th, middle school students participated in a second round of Ohio Reset Readiness testing to gauge growth and improvement from the initial Reset Readiness testing they took earlier in the spring. The purpose of the Reset Readiness testing was to provide schools with a way to identify not only the gaps in learning, but specifically in what area gaps were present. The tests are mirrored in content and format to the actual state assessments. The data showed that with the hard work of teachers and students at Geneva Middle School, the scores showed dramatic improvement. For students tested in 6th grade, 80% showed improvement in their ELA score and 84% improved their math score. In 7th grade, 87% of students improved their ELA score and 90% improved their math score. And finally, in 8th grade, 65% improved their ELA score and 85% their math score, and 89% improved their science score in the 8th grade. Congratulations on showing improvement and continuing to work hard in all academic areas. And also Geneva Middle School, colleagues, family, friends, and former students all came together last week to honor and celebrate the life of longtime teacher and coach Denny Noble, who sadly passed away. Mr. Noble served Geneva Area City Schools for 28 years and had an enormous impact on those who had the pleasure of being around him. Mr. Noble epitomized what it means to be a Geneva Eagle and the pride that comes with being a member of the Geneva Schools family. Although he will be missed, his legacy and lessons he shared with many will live on forever. At Geneva High School, this year we offered the chance for our high school French and Spanish students to take the additional testing to earn the Ohio Seal or the Global Seal of Biliteracy. We had 6 students all in the areas of Spanish that earned this prestigious recognition. Kelly Calhoun, Ohio Seal of Biliteracy and Global Seal of Biliteracy, Carrie Anna Downey, Global Seal of Biliteracy, Sarah Ferrito, Global Seal of Biliteracy, Elena Metzler, Global Seal of Biliteracy, Violetta P. Lumelli, Global Seal of Biliteracy, and Rachel Raymond, Global Seal of Biliteracy. We are proud of these students' accomplishments in expanding their abilities to use another language effectively in their future careers or travels. And finally, a special thank you to the Northwest Ambulance District, NAD, for their continued support of Geneva schools. Not only have they been a valuable partner during emergency drills and other required components of the emergency planning process, but during the 2020-21 school year, they have generously donated numerous supplies to the schools. This year, they donated AED, automated external defibrillator batteries, for all of our Philip AED units, as well as AED pads for all of our AEDs that travel with our coaches. As a district, we were also in the process of replacing both adult and pediatric AED pads in 7 of our AED units in our buildings. NAD will also be providing those replacement pads to the district. School nurses have been updating our emergency classroom go buckets with emergency lockdown supplies. NAD donated multiple rolls of duct tape and multiple gauze slings for the buckets. Every Geneva school building and classroom's go bucket received one of each of these items. This is not the first time that NAD has donated supplies or training. We have received AED supplies, CPR and AED and first aid training, Narcan training, and individual or group training on specific students' medical needs. They have included such topics as supplemental oxygen usage, seizures, and Metaports. The district, nurses, and staff are grateful for all the supplies, training, and emergency services that Northwest Ambulance District provides on a regular basis. Thank you to Northwest Ambulance District for all that you do for Geneva schools, its staff, students, and our community. And that concludes my Geneva Pride positives.
Anything else in the report?
Nope, that's it for tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
I recommend the 2021-22 fiscal year appropriations effective July 1, 2021 be established at 50% of the 2021 expenditures and be considered temporary. Details will be presented at the next regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Mr. Dana,
Yes.
and Ms. Fisher.
Yes. I recommend the following funds be appropriated according to the adopted budget, and these include ESSER 2, ARP ESSER, and Title I.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I would just note, these are the only ones that have allocations available. Generally, at this time, we have most of our other federal funds, such as Part B IDA, Title IIA, Title IVA, Title V. Right now, these are the only allocations that are available and we are able to report.
Roll call?
Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
Mr. Dana?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
And Mrs. Metzler?
Yes.
I recommend the establishment of the Denny Noble Outstanding Essay Award.
So moved.
Second.
Just a comment, thank you to the family, and what a wonderful memory here, to Denny. And I love the fact that it's for an essay award, to, focus here on writing. I love that. So, I think, Eric, as you mentioned, earlier, while he's no longer with us, his memory will live on here throughout Geneva. And so while it's sad, I can't wait to read these future essays by our students, including the wonderful letters that we got from the young ladies here tonight and the emails. So I love that. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
Mr. Dana?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler?
Yes.
And Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
Item 7, I recommend the following personnel actions for the 2021 contract year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have a question. I think it's on number 7. Have we heard about girls soccer for an extracurricular assignment? I didn't see that on there.
As what, a resignation? Or
No, as an extracurricular assignment. all the other
Those
sports.
extracurriculars are in the item 9.
Oh.
We can't hear you, Kevin.
Oh, I'm
Those-
sorry.
Those extracurriculars are item 9.
Sorry.
The only thing on here are things for the remainder of this
All right.
current school year.
Well, then I'll ask it at number
There you-
9. Sorry.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Dana,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
And Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
Item 8, I recommend the following administrator be hired on a 2-year contract to be paid according to the adopted administrator's contract guidelines and subject to meeting certification requirements of the state of Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
What do you like,
Isn't there a issue with one?
We had a strike through for the second one.
Okay.
for Kelly Fisher.
He is here.
Would we like to have an introduction or?
Is it
I
here?
planned right after your vote.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
And Mr. Dana.
Yes.
And I believe Mr. Liebert is joining us. You want to just stand? Mr. Scott Liebert has been in education for 23 years, where he started teaching high school English. He has been an administrator for 13 years, starting as an assistant principal, high school principal for 1 year, high school principal for 2 years, and his current position is director of school improvement and state and federal programs for the past 9 years. All of his experience in administration has been with the Niles City School District. He shares that he looks forward to working with the students, community, and staff this coming school year and is thankful for the opportunity. So congratulations, Mr. Liebert, and welcome.
Item 9, I recommend the following personnel actions for the 21-22 contract year.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Girls soccer?
I see the boys, we do not have a coach yet. Okay. That's why it's not on there, because we do not have a coach yet.
Yeah, there are a number of other positions also that there has been no recommendation because they don't have somebody for the position yet.
Okay.
Do we have anybody interested? Do we have anybody interested?
Do you have any update on middle school cheer? Middle school cheer?
Well, we have an item, agenda
one.
item on here, number 11.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Oh, that was in addition to it. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we for roll call?
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Mr. Dana.
Yes.
And Ms. Fisher.
Yes. Item 10, I recommend the following volunteer coaches.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Mr. Dana.
Yes.
Ms. Fisher
Yes.
and Mrs. Metzler.
Yes.
Item 11, I recommend the board approve the reinstatement of funding for the following sports: swimming, middle school cross country, 7th and 8th grade tennis, and middle school cheerleading,
Move.
beginning with the
Second.
21-22 school year. Discussion?
Again, I would just like to thank the young ladies for their input here tonight. So thank you so very much. I know that's a hard thing to do. from which to write in letters, send in emails, and then also speak in front of the board. So thank you for that. It's a wonderful learning experience and proof that your voice can be heard. So keep up the great work. So thank you.
The young lady that came up here and spoke to us, the number one fear of young adults attending college is public speaking. And you did very well. My hat is off to you. Well done.
Well, that is also the number one fear of many adults also. It's good to get it out of the way when you're young. Okay, other.
Oh, roll call. Still need a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Mr. Dana,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
and Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll move on to other. Mrs.
Okay.
Yeah, Metzler?
Yeah, I'll go. So just briefly, I was able to meet as a part of the Austinburg PTO meeting at the end of May. They were meeting via Zoom. And my goal, I had met with the Cork PTO the month prior, and I just wanted to touch base with the parents that are part of the PTO, find out what they thought of how the school year went, if they had any questions or concerns. But I was able to sit through the meeting and listen to kind of a synopsis of what they had done with their school year. And I mean, I'll say surprisingly, but almost not surprisingly, after I heard from Cork, they were really able to move on with a lot of their functions as if it were a normal year. So thankfully, they really put forth the effort, the parents group did, to try and make things as normal as they could for the kids. They had their end of the year parties and clap out, as Mr. Kujala mentioned. They were in the midst of Waldemar Park sales, ticket sales. They had a walkathon. They celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week. So they did a lot of the same things that they'd been able to do in the past. They held an outdoor book fair for families during the week of May 17th. It was in the evening, and the feedback was all very good from the families that attended. It was very well received, and the families seemed to be just happy to see one another after all this time had gone by. They had the buy one, get one books that they typically do at their last book sale, carnival games, and food truck. So they really put forth a lot of effort, as I know all of the PTO groups do. They talked about next year, they'll have a 5K in October. They're planning to have the kids in the Country Days Parade. They're planning a mum sale for the fall. So they did fantastic work, and kudos to all of the parents on that PTO. They said in terms of how this year went, they said that any questions that they had, there seemed to be very quick answers to those questions, quick feedback, and that there was a lot of transparency. So that was good information to have. And there was a couple of questions. One had to do with, does the board talk about transportation and bus breakdowns a lot? And my answer to that parent was that we don't necessarily talk about that a lot, but I advised her that it's not necessarily breakdowns, but a shortage of drivers that we are dealing with right now. And so the routes needed to be combined, and that our hopes are that next year we can attract more drivers if we're going to be going to school 5 days a week, be a normal year. So that is our hope. And then the other question was about mask wearing for next year. And I told them that there had been no discussion at this time, but my assumption is that as we get closer to school beginning in August, there'll be conversations with the appropriate departments, whether that be the health department or whoever, on what that's going to look like. And also I was able to go in person to Cork on June 4th toward the end of the year. And it was beach theme day the day that I went. So I was really happy to be allowed to come into the school. I started my visits at Cork way back when I first started on the board last January. So now I'm starting to do my second run through all of the district. And I was just really happy to be able to be there. I was able to go to one class in each grade. So I hit 6 classrooms, and mind you, this was June 4th. So the kids only had a few days of school left, but it looked like it was October. I mean, they were all very attentive, very engaged, learning. It was not like it was the end of the year. I was very, very impressed with that. I told the teachers as I went through, I was very surprised. But, you know, you had the first graders were hearing from Mrs. Schrader about their summer job, and their job this summer is to read and write. And she was going to be giving them packets for their parents that included calendars and charts where they can mark down their reading times. Just, planning for summer, but in the very best way to encourage the kids to keep learning. The second grade class was working on their smart board, which I understand the kindergarten, first and second grade classes were all equipped with smart boards this year. So they were up at the smart board writing on the TV, and they all knew how to do it. Like, they didn't have them very long, but they were all very well equipped to do it. The third grade class was working on STEM projects to help them critically think. They were given they were trying to make a marshmallow tower. So they were given what they were supposed to have to build a marshmallow tower. Everybody had the same thing, but they weren't given any instructions on how to do it. So, just some fun things, but learning things for the end of the school year. Fifth graders were listening to a read aloud recording of Holes, more of a lighter story for the end of the year. And they were doing math lessons where the students were the leaders. So instead of the teacher teaching the math lesson, she puts the students in charge and gives them a little bit of responsibility as they're fifth graders getting ready to go into middle school. The fourth graders were cleaning the classroom and watching mystery science videos about oceans, which I stayed in there longer than I anticipated because it was so interesting. I could have stayed in there the rest of the day watching videos on that. And then in kindergarten, they were using the Chromebooks. So, these little kids, it's so hard to even watch it because when my daughter was that young, we weren't doing that. But these 5-year-olds were using Chromebooks. They were doing diagnostic assessments, and those that weren't doing the assessments were on Starfall. So just, not necessarily typical according to Mrs. Cinco, but a little bit of fun for the end of the year and learning going along with it. So thank you to everyone that allowed me to come into their buildings, into their space, into their departments this year. I really enjoyed it. Despite COVID, I got a lot of great information. We've got a lot of great staff in our district, and I appreciate them all. And I look forward to visiting next year.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, I have just a couple items that I wanted to share with the board. I just want to make the board aware that starting in July, next board meeting, I plan to provide only a Zoom option if it's necessary. We will continue to do our live streaming for our meetings, but again, and make them available to the public, but we won't have a Zoom option unless it's necessary moving forward.
I just want to say how much I missed seeing everyone in person. Even though on this end, it's like you're still seen so far away. Mr. Arrington and Mrs. Ortiz. But I just wanted to say that. So it's very nice. It's nice that we're all back together.
We missed you, and I missed my checks with you as we tried to make sure mics were working. So we got through it.
We did.
I also wanted to share just briefly with the board about our summer recovery and summer school program. I gave you a handout for that. We are finishing up our second week at the elementary and middle school and high school program. And again, the first session was a 2-week program for our elementary. We had 81 students out of the 97 that we were expecting. Some decided or had a change of heart that they did not want to attend. And this was an optional program for them. We were trying to get as many students as we could in. And we had a few that missed maybe a week because they were attending an athletic camp, but did come the second week. There is no July session for the elementary. And then we have a second session for the elementary, which is just a 1-week readiness. And that's August 9th through 13th. And right now we have about 60 students that are registered to attend for that readiness session. At Geneva Middle School, they just had a 2-week session in June. They don't have anything in July or August. They did have 61 of their 66 expected students that attended. So we were very pleased at looking at over 90% of those students attending, and things have gone really well at the middle school. At the high school, they actually have 3 sessions, and theirs are 3 weeks long because they are credit recovery. The first session will end July 2nd, and they had 68 students in attendance out of the 74 that originally they had registered. The second session, they are expecting another 53 students. And the third session, which is in August, they're expecting another 44 students. So those are all students that are trying to get credit recovery for courses that they did not pass this year. And so we're at least pleased to see those numbers. I know it took away from the numbers that they saw at ATEC, but we decided we wanted to house it here to see if we could get more students. And also we would be able to help provide some transportation. So all total, we had elementary, middle school, high school in this first session here in June, 210 students in attendance of the 237 that we had planned to enroll. So attendance of 88.6%. So we were very pleased with overall the attendance that we had. We do have a number of teachers, staff members that were hired over the summer to help. In the June session alone, we had 24 teachers at 3 different levels, 3 bus drivers, and 2 cafeteria personnel that are providing breakfast, lunch for those students. And then in July and August, we'll have 16 teachers at 2 levels, the elementary and the high school level, and 2 bus drivers and 2 cafeteria personnel, again, providing those sack lunches of breakfast and lunch for those students. So again, this is a first year for us trying our recovery program. I think we've been pleased with how it has started, and we hope to, I know that's something that we're looking at continuing moving forward to, again, try to help students that have really struggled over this last 16 months and hopefully to help them get back to their levels.
Eric,
Yes.
Eric, are we optimistic as far as the gains that we're going to make by offering this?
I believe so. We really focused on, for the elementary and middle school, they really focused on 10 lessons, and it was just focused on the ELA and the math. So we did have teachers that looked at the 10 lessons in each of those areas that they thought were most important that students really struggled with during the year, and any kind of support over the summer would help them going into their next grade level. So we're really hoping that, if they didn't catch it the first time or they struggled with that topic, that curricular area, that this will be beneficial to them.
Thank you.
And I have one last item. My last item, I did put a packet in you at your spot. Last meeting, we had some questions on our plan for disposal and auctioning of some district maintenance vehicles. Now, I'm not looking for the board to have any action at this time, and that's why I'm providing it during our other section. There was a request for some additional information, and I'll be glad to even get more information for you. Again, the focus of this was to either trade, and we had initially looked at trading in these vehicles because 2 of the vehicles are just below 100,000 miles, and right now it seems like they are looking for trades. They're offering maybe a little higher money for some trades. And we were trying to take advantage of that if we could, or at least see what they would be available. But what we were looking to do is trade or auction three of our vehicles to replace with 2 vehicles, and these would be trucks with plow capacity that also could assist in multiple tasks for our maintenance department. Our vehicles right now we use to haul maintenance and school supplies, carry tools and equipment to various sites for jobs, and also for plowing. Now, right now we're using our gray truck and our dump truck for plowing. We do plow, and luckily for us, our last few winters haven't been too bad, but we do plow all the bus turnarounds in the district. That's approximately about 2.5 hours each for 2 different trucks. Many of the roads in the southern part of the district are outside cell phone or radio communication, so we do need reliable vehicles, and that's, for many of our buses, this is very important, as we have many that get stuck in some of the ditches or some of the areas that don't get cleared real well during the winter months. The dump truck, I put the mileage on for each of these. I also included some pictures. It doesn't have a lot of miles on, but right now, because of its condition, it's not really able to plow anymore with this vehicle. We did have a trade-in value that was offered on that. And again, we're using that very rarely right now. The gray truck is kind of in the low 90s right now. I did include a few pictures for that. It is used as a plow truck, and it was outfitted with a plow when it was purchased. It was outfitted with a plow that was probably too heavy for its use. And again, I don't know if that was recommended by who we bought it from. But because of that, we have constant repair of brakes, suspension, replacement of tires. So you're looking at a cost each year of some of those replacement items. It also, I had put on here, according to a former employee, that truck was hit by lightning, and we still have electrical issues that exist with that. And I confirmed that with Kevin today, that right after we purchased that truck, it was pretty new, that we did have that truck struck by lightning. So there continues to be some things, although that was taken in for repair twice after that happened. I think there's still some issues with that. There's lots of rust still on that truck, lots of repair that would be needed if we kept that, and really no place to store tools. It's an open truck, open bed, so we would have to purchase bins if we're going to continue to use it in some capacity. And so we did have a trade-in value that was offered on that. And the last one was our maintenance van. And again, that one's just approaching 100,000 miles. I did include a couple pictures. And again, sometimes the pictures are hard to really illustrate some of the underbody rust and condition, but it has a lot of rust. The doors, because of some of the rust on some of the hinges and things, the doors are limited in operational use. So sometimes getting doors fully open to put things in is sometimes difficult. And, they're very cautious in that. And during the winter, that person actually that's assigned to that vehicle drives that vehicle in, picks up a plow, goes out and plows. So that was another reason we're looking at getting 2 trucks with plows, that then it would be a little more efficient use, that those vehicles would already be equipped to do multiple jobs. So in looking at this, and again, wanting to share this information with the board, right now, it's not a great time to purchase. They're looking for a lot of trade-ins, but the 2021s are really gone or already spoken for. 2022s, most of the conversation that we've had with some of the dealers, and again, we've looked at some new, maybe we need to also look what's out there as used vehicles, but some of the 2022s, they're saying they're about 3 to 4 months out before you would even get one, and that's if you even place an order. So I think we have a little bit of time, so it's not urgent. The main thing we could possibly manage through the winter coming up, but we would definitely want to consider replacing or looking at a replacement for these vehicles. These could be something that we put on auction just to see what we could get, if we could even get beyond this, but we would want to have something that we could get in return because we would need these vehicles. We even looked at getting a service contract for a plower to do some of the turnarounds for us, and really no one would touch that just because of the logistics. You'd spend more time driving around, and often those turnarounds, depending on the snowstorm we go out and do those multiple times in a day. So it might be, when we had midday routes, sometimes we'd have to go out and do something midday, but a lot of times it's early in the morning, very early in the morning, and then later in the day if you have an all-day snowstorm or you have additional accumulation. And sometimes that's based on the area. So I wanted to share the information with the board. If there's additional questions that you would like me to answer, or if there's additional information you'd like me to obtain for you, I'd gladly do that. But again, there's no action right now that I would require, but again, just wanted to answer some of those questions.
Eric, my original concern when we wanted to put these vehicles on the auction sheet before, it was at a certain level. But after I look at these pictures, my concern is it's elevated more, because I mean, you can look at these pictures and tell there's never been any washing, no preventive maintenance, PM done on these vehicles. The dump truck it's completely unsat. How we let a vehicle in our motor pool, in our bus garage, get to that condition when it takes nothing to repair those things. The costs on pickup for brakes and suspension, which we have a mechanic that's supposed to be certified to be able to do those things in-house, and the parts don't cost that per year for a pickup truck. Now, they would cost that if they were being outsourced, which you've heard me mention before, that far too much of our stuff is outsourced, and it's outsourced outside the Geneva School District. So for us to allow our vehicles in our motor pool to get, or in our bus garage to get to that condition that these are in, you can tell that no one ever washed these vehicles down. And the normal maintenance that should be done, a little bit of primer, a little bit of flat black paint on it, and it stops rust. So we allowed these vehicles, someone allowed these vehicles to get in this condition through a lack of effort, a lack of oversight, a lack of something. These vehicles look terrible. That's all. Thank you.
I just have a couple questions. The possible trade-in values, were those actual offers on trade-in value that we spoke with somebody?
Yes, I actually had trade-in quotes that were given to us if we were going to look at a purchase.
Okay, and how long ago was that? Was that recent?
That was probably at least a few months ago, probably 2 or 3 months,
Okay,
when we started looking at if that would be an option. And then that was prior to us looking at that auction site as a possibility to even get maybe a greater sale value.
okay.
Okay, I have one other item on other. And when we were working with the Ohio School Board Association for our superintendent search, we were offered as part of the package a workshop that they would conduct, and they would take on topics such as roles and responsibilities, governance, best practices, high-quality relationships, building team leadership, ethics and trust, meeting management, communication, and strategic planning overview. I called Terry, our representative, and at OSBA, and she has sent a list of dates where she would be happy to come up and conduct a 2.5 to 3 hour workshop for the board and the new superintendent. In talking yesterday, we realized that there was a 6-month window in order to schedule this, and which takes us really out to September or October. And she only gave us dates through August, and we are having some scheduling conflicts with people meeting these dates. So what I suggest at this point is I will call Terry again tomorrow and see if we can get some dates that extend out beyond August 10, and then let everyone know what the result of that conversation is, so we can try to set up a time that would be compatible with everybody's schedule. So,
Thank you.
any other? Okay,
It indicated that we needed discussion about setting up a meeting if we possibly can
yes.
next week. I don't know if Monday, anytime in the evening would work. If not Monday, it would have to be Tuesday. We do have a meeting set up, Mr. Kujala, Mrs. Serena Treehorn, and myself at 6 o'clock that we'd either have to cancel or work around.
On
So
which day? I'm sorry.
that meeting is 6 PM on Tuesday. So if we looked at Tuesday, we would either have to cancel that meeting or try to work around it. So I don't know if,
So Monday, will that work for everybody if it's later, like after 6?
Monday
After 6?
evening's fine with me.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Monday
She's-
evening is fine with me.
Okay. So
I'm good. I'm here to serve.
So 6 PM on Monday is,
I can't be here at 6.
what
I'd
time
have-
can you be here?
Probably between 6:30 and 7. Oh,
6:45?
Okay. I'll be gone the entire day. I'm supposed to
No,
be
it's good. You tell us when you're ready. 7?
7.
7.
7.
7
7
on
it
Monday?
is. Okay.
7
Sorry,
on
guys.
Monday.
That's okay. You had to bring in the dinner.
The board office.
Where's the meeting? Board office?
We could. That's fine with me. Or we can meet at one of the buildings.
okay, so that would be a special meeting Monday, June 28th at 7 PM for the purpose of taking action on the appropriation resolution and the need for transfers and advances.
And location, where do we want to meet?
I think the board
Here,
office.
They
is-
said the board office?
Board office?
We'll do that.
You know, I love that phrase. I love the board office.
Okay,
The administrative office.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Again, I'll be, looking at my room. purchasing curtains.
Okay, and now is the time for the second hearing of the public. Again, if anyone has any comments, please come to the microphone and start out by stating your name and address. Okay, I recommend the board hold an executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges and complaints against a public employee or official, and preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and condition of their employment.
I'll move.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dana?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
And Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That ends this meeting of the Geneva School Board. Thank you for attending.